Are you looking for more appropriate solutions to improve the efficiency of your retail, logistics, warehousing, or catering business? From thermal label printers to shipping scales, we sell a variety of products to do just that. Munbin, more choice for your growing business. Visit munbin.com.
We know anxiety doesn't work 9 to 5, so anyone can text Shout anytime. But being there 24/7 takes funding. Click to donate and join the thumb war for mental health.
Cherry Printers are an established printing company that produce quality products at sensible prices. From cash receipts and invoice books to GDPR-compliant, confidential visitor sign-in books, they have it all. For more information, visit cherryprinters.co.uk. Unboxed. Proudly sponsored by Cherry Printers.
Relationships. There's no right or wrong time to start a relationship, and deciding whether you want to get together with someone should always be your choice. It's important to think about what makes you happy, especially if you're feeling pressured by other people. Remember that relationships don't all look the same, so what you want might be different to what someone else wants. But if you're ever worried or unsure, you can talk to somebody. Talk to a parent, a carer, someone in school you can trust, or even a friend. You are listening to Unboxed with an episode about relationships.
Unboxed
with Finley Ratnet.
Finley Ratnet.
Finley!
Yes, welcome back to another episode of Unboxed. It's been a while since I released one, and I'll just briefly start by explaining why that is. Now, when I started the new series, I was thinking, well, I really want young people to get involved with, this series, because I think it's really important that young people talk about it. But at the same time, asking young people to talk openly and publicly about their mental health is, it's not done amongst friends and, family. It's not spoken about amongst, peers enough to even bring it into the public eye, if you like. And that's what I've been thinking about recently. That's what I'm trying to get out of it. But how am I going to get that out of people without me sort of being the one to, kickstart that and normalise that? And so from now on, I'm going to just do these episodes on my own. And if a young person gets in touch and they want to get involved, then that offer is always open. People can get involved. And if you are interested in getting involved, you can text me on WhatsApp. It's 0117 318 2686. All you've got to do is add that number to your phone contacts, go on WhatsApp, find that contact and send us a message. Again, 0117 318 2686 is the number on WhatsApp. Or, of course, you can email.
hello@unboxedpodcast.co.uk.
Unboxed with Finley Ratnet.
Finley Ratnet.
Now then, we'll get straight into this episode then. So, relationships. You could talk for 8 hours about this. But in this episode, we're just going to focus on sort of, getting into a relationship and just dealing with, minor issues like, just small arguments and how you can deal better with arguments and, communication and how that's important. This isn't me saying, this is what you got to do to deal with arguments. This is sort of a discussion, if you like. I've got some websites open, some sort of trusted sources from Childline and the NSPCC to the Brook Clinic. So obviously, liking or having a crush on someone can bring up lots of feelings, and you might be excited, worried about being rejected, or you might be embarrassed. But when you like someone and you want them to know, there are a few things you can do to make it easier. So that's what we're going to start with. Finding ways to make it easier to tell someone you like them. Now, getting to know someone can help you decide whether you want to ask them out, and it can help you see whether they like spending time with you too. So I think that's one of the most important things. Spending time together. Teens these days spend a lot of our time on social media. And I think it's fair to say that we might not go out and about as much as what our parents did. And if you speak to parents and they'll say, oh, you spend so much time on your phones these days. We used to go out and enjoy the outdoors and when we were younger. But obviously, it is what it is. Social media is available now. There are so many different forms of it. And, you know, often people add each other on Snapchat. You might have never met them before. You might just know them as a friend of a friend. And, you know, you talk on social media and you get closer. And sometimes that can develop into a relationship just like that. But spending time together, one-to-one, out and about, doing things, whether you go for a walk or, you know, go to the mall or go shopping somewhere. Spending time together is really important, and like I said then, it can help you decide whether, you know, you have that bond, and it can help you understand whether that person has the same feelings towards you. And it's not always a good time to ask someone out or tell them you like them. Think about how they might feel, and don't do anything that would make someone else feel uncomfortable. So again, spending time with each other, you'll be able to understand how they're feeling, and if it seems like something they'd want, then maybe you can bring that up when the time is right. But again, there's never a rush, obviously. But feeling good about yourself can help you to feel more confident and able to share how you feel. And you know, I think before you get into a relationship, you need to understand yourself, understand what you want, understand yourself. You know, you need to have an idea of what you're looking for. Maybe you've been in a relationship that didn't work before, and that would have knocked your confidence down. So it's about building yourself back before putting yourself out there again. And I think it's also important to be casual as well. Keep your other interests and spend time with other people as well as talking to the person you like. You know, obviously, my hobbies are radio and podcasting and media in general. And I think if I get into a relationship, that's something obviously you don't want to lose your main interests, because you know your main interest maybe what you want to end up doing as a career. I am doing, you know, community radio. I'm doing podcasts with the end goal that as I get older, as I grow up and get into, you know, a job that I want to do, I'm hoping that I'll be somewhere in media. And so I think it's really important that you make sure you have time for those interests, maybe like sport. Keep that up, because and again, that's a different topic. Sport can help you in various different ways, mentally and physically. So keeping your interests is really important, and obviously keeping time to spend that time with, you know, other people, other friends, and, you know, family as well. Because let's face it, you can get into a relationship. It can last 1 year, it can last 2 years, it can last 10 years. But whatever happens, your family will be there for you, you know, for the rest of your life, or until they pass away. But they'll always be by your side. So make sure you know, keep the time to spend with them. And, you know, it's also important to ask for advice. Ask your friends or someone you trust what they think, or get tips from message boards online, from places like Childline, or there's an app called Me Too, which is a forum for young people. You can, you know, ask questions, you can get advice from other young people. And that app is really good, Me Too, because it's all sort of moderated by, you know, the people who work for the app. And every relationship is different, so it's important to think about what you're both comfortable with. Again, that comes back to, you know, understanding how you're feeling, understanding how they're feeling, and making sure that you both have similar interests, similar goals, and you need to make sure that you want similar things from a relationship. And it can help to focus on just being yourself and doing things you both enjoy while you get to know each other. But even when a relationship is exciting, remember to keep spending time with your friends, like I said, family, and the other people you care about. And if something makes you feel uncomfortable or confused, then it's okay to talk about what's happening to someone you trust, whether that's, you know, again, a Childline counsellor online, a child on the Childline website, or a family member, or, you know, someone in school you can trust, or a friend. But obviously, being rejected can be tough as well. You might feel embarrassed, hurt, or like you've done something wrong. But there are always ways to build yourself back up again. It's about, again, you know, you might be in a relationship and it might end and that knock your confidence down. You might, you know, express your love for someone and be rejected, and that's going to knock your confidence down. And again, it's really important that you focus on yourself to bring yourself back up when, you know, those things happen. So again, it's important to spend time with other people. Keep in touch with friends and other people you care about, even if you don't want to see them in person. You know, think about what you like about yourself. Think about any flaws you have. Turn them into positive things. Write a list of good things people say about you, big or small. Then choose 1 or 2 things and write some more about them to really understand yourself. And always remember, rejection isn't always about you. Well, it isn't about you, actually. It's about what the other person wants. Maybe they're not wanting the same as what you want. Don't always think of it as, you know, you're doing something wrong. Remember to be kind to yourself. People can choose to not start a relationship for lots of reasons. Maybe they're just not ready for one. Maybe they don't see the same things that you want, like I said. And that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Just accept it. And if someone says they don't want a relationship, it's important to respect their decision and not make them feel pressured or bad for that. There's plenty of people in the world. You might really want that person, but if that doesn't go well, there are other things you can do. Hang out with different people, make more friends, and maybe down the line, those friendships will develop into something more. And again, you start from the line of spending time with them, finding out what they want, and until you find something that you want. Now, in terms of breakups, obviously breakups can be hard for everyone involved, but sometimes they can also feel like a relief depending on what type of relationship you're in. Whether you want to break up or you're being broken up with, there are obviously ways to cope, and I think again that comes back to talking to someone. I think talking to someone is really important in any sort of situation relating to mental health, because that could be the difference between how you cope with it. But if you are thinking about breaking up with someone, there is advice that I can share with you. Try doing it face to face if you can, and if it feels safe to do so. Practice being assertive and explaining the reasons you want to end the relationship, and think about what you'll be asked. If you don't know what assertive means, being assertive can help you to explain how you feel and what you need without being rude or aggressive. And it basically means you clearly explain what you need or want from someone without being pushy or trying to frighten them. It's also good to make a plan of what to do if the other person takes it badly or if it doesn't go well. Don't make promises you can't keep, like saying you'll stay friends, because you never know. Lots of people say that as a way because the other person maybe doesn't see any problems with the relationship and they want to stay together, and you'll say we'll stay friends as a way to sort of make them feel happy, if you like. But don't make the promise of doing that, because you don't know what will happen down the line. Arrange a time to get back your belongings and return theirs. That's an interesting one, actually. Because obviously if you got things of each other's, then obviously you're going to want them back, no matter what it is. If it belongs to you, it belongs to you. So make sure when you're going through that process of breaking up, you do arrange a time to exchange the belongings, and plan what you're doing afterwards as well, and think about whether you want to talk to someone you trust about how it went. But if someone breaks up with you, you might be confused, hurt or angry, and it can take a lot of time to start feeling differently. But you don't have to cope alone. If you're struggling, I've got some more advice to share with you. Again, talk about it. I can't stress that enough. Spend time with people you care about. Do something fun together, or share how the breakup is affecting you with someone you trust. Take time every day to do something you enjoy, or try new activities to build your confidence and self-esteem back. And accept it. That sounds obviously easier said than done, but if your ex doesn't want to talk to you, then try to respect that. If you're struggling, it can help to write down what you'd like to say in a letter that you've never sent. Give it time. How you're feeling might not change straight away, but it can start to feel better in the future. And take care of yourself. Keeping a healthy routine can help make it easier to cope when you're feeling low. Obviously, going through a breakup, from my own experience, and I know other people who have gone through the same, your sleep pattern starts to be affected, how you eat starts to be affected. And obviously, that's not, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not your fault. It's just the human way of dealing with things like that. But slowly but steadily try and bring back that routine of proper sleeping, healthy eating. But if you have the right to feel safe in any relationship, that includes when you decide to end it. And if someone's making you feel unsafe in a relationship, that can be abuse, and there are ways to get support. And again, you come back to this, talk to an adult you trust about what's happening and how they can support you. Or again, you can talk to someone online, whether that's, a childline counsellor or someone on Me Too. It depends what you want. Maybe some people prefer to talk to qualified counsellors about it. Some people prefer to talk to other young people, like the app Me Too. And, it's also important to make a plan. Again, plan how you want to break up with someone, any of the belongings you need to get before you do, and where you can go to keep safe if needed. It can help to tell someone you trust what your plan is so they can support you. And again, if you plan on breaking up with someone, I say, you might want to talk to a parent, but I think talking to parents these days is quite difficult. I know many young people find it difficult. I know I do. But if you can, talk to a parent, tell them your plan, because then, instead of you just dealing with it on yourself and coping with it on yourself, if another adult that you trust is aware, then they can, check in on you. Maybe when you've broken up with that person, they'll ask how it went. But decide when it's best to get away, and tell someone you trust when you're going to break up with someone if you can, or leave them. Again, just like I said, so that they can, keep an eye on you, check in with you. And if someone's making you feel unsafe or pressuring you after breakup, there are places you can do and places you can go to. And remember, if someone's threatening you, it's okay to call 999, because again, that, even though it might feel not normal, but if someone wants you back, then you might be expecting them to constantly be messaging you. You've got to be careful that it doesn't turn into something else where they're constantly pestering you, because then that can lead to other things as well. But I think the main thing from this part is to talk to someone you can trust. Let them know your plans, let them know how you're feeling, whether that's a parent, carer, friend, a relative, someone in school, just so they can keep an eye on you.
A mental health podcast for young people.
Unboxed
With Finley Ratnet.
Finley Ratnet.
Now, in the next part of this episode, I want to talk about something which is a bit, it's a bit of an odd one, awkward one to talk about, if you like. And it shouldn't be. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Now, sex and consent. It's normal to have lots of questions about sex, consent, or doing sexual things. However you're feeling, there's plenty of advice online. But I'm going to be sharing some of that with you in this part of the episode. Now, it can sometimes feel awkward talking about sex. You might have been told that it's something embarrassing or that you shouldn't talk about it, but it's natural to have questions, and talking to someone you can trust can really help. You might be questioning whether you want to have sex or if you feel ready. You might be wondering what contraception is and how to use it and how to access it. You might be wondering how to cope if someone wants to do something that you don't, and you might be wondering or thinking about masturbation, and if that's okay. And of course it is, but we'll get onto that shortly. But whatever's on your mind, like I said, there's plenty of advice online. There's plenty of people you can go to talk to, whether that's a parent, carer, friend, another relative, or someone else in school you can trust. Now then, what is sex? Obviously, sex can mean lots of different things. People who mention having sex are often talking about having sexual intercourse, but not always. I mean, having sex isn't the only way people are intimate or sexual with each other. Obviously, there are lots of things that someone might find intimate, like hugging, kissing, or watching something sexual with someone else. But it's always important to talk about what you and someone else is comfortable with before deciding whether to keep going. Nobody has the right to pressure you or make you feel like doing something you don't want to do. Now, what is consent? Consent means, consenting to something means you understand and agree to something without being pressured or feeling scared. Now, consent isn't just about saying yes or no, and how you feel can change from one moment to the next. If you're thinking about doing something sexual, then everyone must be consenting and comfortable with it. It's your responsibility to know whether your partner is consenting. It's important to remember that consent applies regardless of your gender or sexuality. Someone can't consent if they're drunk, unconscious, or they don't know what's happening. Consent isn't just given once, and someone can stop consenting at any time. Nobody has the right to do something sexual with you without your consent, and flirting isn't the same as consenting. Now, understanding whether your partner consents can be confusing sometimes, but I've got some advice to share with you here, and I'll use their body language to help you understand, how they're feeling. But again, just from body language and flirting, that isn't the same as verbally giving consent. Look at how your partner is behaving. Ask yourself if they're smiling, enjoying themselves, nodding, or looking at you. If someone doesn't look interested, is stressed, upset, or is pulling away, then stop. Talk about it as well. Talk to your partner about it. If it's not something you've done before, talk about it. Find out how they're feeling about it. Find out how you're feeling about it. Understand yourself. Understand what you want. Ask questions, check how your partner's feeling, and talk about what's happening. Remember that even if someone says yes, they've got the right to change their mind. And always accept how somebody feels. If someone says no, isn't interested, or doesn't feel ready, stop and accept how they feel. Asking over and over or making someone feel bad for not consenting means that you're pressuring them, which can be a form of abuse. Think about their state of mind. Are they in the right state of mind to be consenting? Are they awake and sober? Someone who's drunk, passed out, or asleep cannot give consent. And if you're not sure, then stop. It's your responsibility to know if your partner is consenting, not theirs. If someone continues to do anything sexual without consent, that can be considered to be rape or sexual assault. Now, it's illegal to have sex or do sexual things without full consent from everyone involved. It can be a crime to engage in sexual activity with someone if they're not able to give or accept consent because they're drunk or they've taken drugs. You're not sure whether someone is consenting, they're worried about being hurt if they don't say yes, or you're in a position of trust or power over the other person. Now, the age of consent is 16. This means it's illegal to have sex with anyone who's under 16 years old. This is the same no matter what your sexuality or gender is. And it's important to remember that the law is there to protect children and young people, not to punish them. So, for example, if you're both aged 13 to 15 and you've consented to doing things, it's still against the law, but it is less likely that legal action will be taken. It's never legal for someone to have any sexual contact with you if you're under 13. If that's happened, then there are places you can go to get support. When someone over 16 is having sex with someone under 16, they're also breaking the law. They may be arrested even if everyone has consented. Now, if someone does something sexual with you and you've not agreed to it freely, then that's sexual assault or rape. Nobody has the right to do something sexual with another person without the consent. I cannot stress that enough. And it's their responsibility to make sure they know if you're consenting. It's not your responsibility to say no, and what's happened isn't your fault. However you're feeling, it can help to talk about it. And again, this goes back to talking to people you trust. Now, knowing if you're ready, the only person who can decide if you're ready to do something sexual is you. Okay? You're the best person to understand it yourself. Nobody can say, "Oh, yeah, you're ready," judging by how you look, how you look to be feeling. Looking like you're ready isn't the same as you knowing that you're ready. If you're thinking about having sex or doing something sexual, you should ask yourself, do I feel comfortable doing something sexual with another person? Can I talk to my partner about sex or sexual things? Will my partner support me if I don't do something? Would I want to be sexually active if other people weren't pressuring me? Do I have contraception and know about safe sex? And do I feel confident about what to do if I change my mind? If you said no, or you're not sure about any of these questions, you might not be ready. There are lots of reasons you might feel pressure to do something. You might be worried about being left out or not seen as mature, or you might be worried about how your partner will react. Now, if you're feeling pressured, again, this goes back to talking to someone you can trust, whether that's online at someone like Childline, or speaking to a crisis line if this is sort of putting you in crisis. You can talk to people like Shout, where you text the word Shout to 85258 and talk to a trained professional, or again just an adult you can trust, whether that's someone in school or a parent, a carer, or even a friend in school, or someone else in your peer group. Now, sex can feel different depending on who you're with, your sexuality, and what you're expecting from it. Lots of people have an emotional connection with the person they're with, as well as a physical attraction. Whether it's your first time having sex or you've had it before, it's important to feel comfortable before you do anything. Now, it's also, I can't stress this enough, it's important to talk about what you want to do with your partner, and even, feeling that you're able to talk to them about sex and sexual things is really important. Communication is an extremely important part of a healthy relationship that includes being able to talk about sex or anything you'd like to do together. We'll come on to that more shortly. Now, contraception helps stop pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections, or STIs. Whether it's your first time or you're in a relationship, you should use contraception. And there are lots of places to get contraception, including supermarkets, pharmacies, your doctor, or, online places like Amazon. You can order it and it comes in discreet packaging. But it's really important to use it. You can stop at any time. You can change your mind about having sex at any time, and that's okay. You might feel pressure to keep going, especially if you have agreed before, but it's always okay to stop if something doesn't feel right or you change your mind. And you might be thinking, well, if I suddenly stop, then I don't want them to feel, them feel awkward about it. And that's where communication comes into place. Make sure you're able to communicate before you actually go through with having sex or doing, sexual activities. Think to yourself, am I comfortable with talking to them about it? Because being able to talk to them is vital before moving forward with things. And it can be difficult to relax when you're worried about how you look and if you've experienced, gender dysphoria. And it can help to talk to your partner about how you're feeling. Take time each day to write down 3 things you like about yourself. Think about ways you might feel more comfortable if you were intimate with someone else. But building confidence can take time, and that's okay. But there's no right or wrong way to have sex, and being intimate or sexually active isn't just about having sex. Sex shouldn't be painful, even if it's the first time. If it is, then it's important to communicate with each other again about what you feel comfortable with, and again, that's different for everyone else.
Finley Ratness
Unboxed.
Now, what are the 2 things you like best about your relationship, and what are the 2 things you like most? More than 5,000 people answered the same question as part of the Enduring Love research project, and communication was a common answer for both. Here's what people said they liked best about the relationship. Number 1, laughing together. I think that's a really important one. I mean, any emotions that you can share with each other, if you can share emotions with each other, then that's key, because if you can laugh together, then that shows that you can be happy around each other. Number 2, sharing values and interests. If you have the same interests or even similar interests, then then you can go out and do things that you both enjoy, and it gives you things to talk about. Number 3, being best friends. And in a relationship, it's not just about being boyfriend and girlfriend, or girlfriend and girlfriend, boyfriend and boyfriend, etc. It's about calling them your best friend as well. Having them to go to for anything you need. Whether you want to talk to them about something that's happened during the day, whether that's good or bad. Being best friends and having that really close bond is really important. Number 4 says being cared for and feeling supported. If you're able to support each other, then that's really important, because if something's wrong, then you need to be able to support the other. If something's wrong with them, you need to be able to support them. Number 5, feeling safe and secure. Being safe and secure in a relationship is probably should be at the top of the list, because you need to be able to feel safe and secure. You need to be able to trust that person that you're with. Number 6, being happy. Again, that's just being in a relationship that you feel is not toxic. Being able to just be yourself and just feeling happy in that relationship. And then number 7 is trust. Trust is really important in any relationship, whether that's friends or in an intimate relationship. Being able to trust one another is really important. Number 8, sharing a close relationship. Being really close to each other is really important. I can't stress that enough, because again, if you're really close, then you're able to talk to each other, or you should be able to talk to each other about various different things, good or bad. Number 9, talking and listening. Both are really important, I think. Listening to the other person about whatever that is, whether that's just general things about the day, whether they've got an issue with the relationship or a concern. Being able to listen to that and respect how they're feeling, and just understand how they're feeling, that's really important. But also talking, being able to, or feeling able to, if there was something to pop up in the relationship that you are concerned about, being able to talk to them about that. Because if you're not able to talk about that, then things aren't going to change, because you wouldn't be able to express how you're feeling. And number 10 says being in love, being loved. If you're feeling loved, then that's the main thing. You need to be able to feel that you are loved by this person that you are spending this portion of your life with. So you can see that what people liked about the relationship were things that involve communicating with each other, like laughing together, sharing values, and talking and listening. And now, there's no doubt that communication is good for relationships. Different people communicate in different ways. It could be talking, laughing, texting, written notes, or the kind of communication that doesn't need any words at all, whether that's eye contact or, just looking at someone a certain way. There's no right way to do it. Now, I just want to talk about arguing in relationships. Now, in any relationship, I believe that in any relationship somebody gets in, you can't go in thinking, oh, I believe this is the person that I'm not going to argue with them. We're going to have a really good time. You can't go in a relationship doubting that you'll have an argument. There will be times that you don't get on. There will be times that you don't agree. Now, experts on relationships say it's impossible to be close to someone without sometimes arguing, like I just said. And this is backed up by the findings of the Enduring Love Research Project, which again interviewed more than 5,000 people about their relationships. But why do arguments happen, and how can you avoid them? Well, arguments often heat up when one person feels strongly that they're right and the other person is wrong. Both of you can end up defending your position and dismissing what the other person has to say. This can lead to a standoff where you both feel rejected, and again, this comes back to listening, respecting how the other person feels, and talking about it, but coming to a mutual decision, if you like. Try to get away from the idea of being right or wrong, or of winning or losing an argument. Instead of thinking that one view is categorically right or wrong, accept that there can be many valid points of view. If you're prepared to listen and consider what the other person's saying, you're more likely to understand their position, to find a compromise or a middle ground, to agree to disagree, and this involves recognising that you are both okay with not agreeing about some of the things. And it's not always easy to see where someone else is coming from. Most relationship therapy, when a professional therapist helps a couple to resolve their problems, is about helping partners to see things from the other person's point of view. You could try one of the following to put yourself in your partner's shoes. Choose a time when you're both feeling calm and go over a recent argument. Talk about it. Spend 10 minutes each really listening without interrupting to what the other person has to say. Then give each other feedback on what you've understood. That should help you, or at least attempt to help you understand each other's point of views. Remember a recent argument and try writing it down from your point of view, then try writing it down from your partner's point of view. Another way to do this is, instead of writing down both versions of the argument, tell them to a friend to get their opinion on it. Check out Love Smart, which takes you through a series of questions to help you identify issues in your relationship, why they're happening, and how you can deal with them. And if you can see things from your partner's point of view, it can help you understand each other and bring you closer together. How you argue can be part of the problem. Try to think about how you behave and how you feel when you argue. For example, some people find a raised voice frightening, while others find it perfectly normal to talk loudly in a discussion. And some people are used to interrupting and being interrupted, and others are used to talking in turns. But if you can work out how you communicate best and become aware of the triggers that make your arguments worse, your disagreements are less likely to get out of hand. Now, it's been an interesting episode. I think relationships is, like I said at the start, is something that you could talk about for hours. There are so many different things that, can be said about them. But I think in this episode we've managed to cover the basics. And we will. I'm sure I will do other episodes sort of linked to relationships. I'm sure I'll do, specific episodes on unhealthy relationships and how they can look, how you can sort of spot the signs. But again, if anyone wants to get involved, if anyone wants to get involved with the podcast and sort of come on it and have a discussion, it's not about, I've not made this series about how you feel. I mean, the last series was focused on people's direct experiences. This series is more of a discussion. And again, if you want to get involved, please do so. You can email hello@unboxedpodcast.co.uk, or you can text me on WhatsApp.
Text us on WhatsApp 0117 318 2686. Hey! Start your message with the word unboxed.
But yes, thank you very much for listening. I hope you have benefited from this episode in some way. Feel free to follow me on the social medias. I'm on Instagram at unboxed.podcast. I am on Twitter at podcastunboxed, and we're on TikTok at unboxedpodcast. But again, thank you very much for listening. I hope, again, you've benefited from this way. Please do share with me how you felt about this episode. Have you got something from it? Is there something else you want to know? Is there something else you want to hear me speak about? Again, you can get in touch on WhatsApp. It's 0117 318 2686, or you can email hello@unboxedpodcast.co.uk, or you can get involved on social media. Get in touch. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Instagram, again, it's at unboxed.podcast. Twitter at podcastunboxed, and TikTok at unboxedpodcast. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you in the next episode. Enjoy the rest of your day.
A mental health podcast for young people.
Unboxed.
With Finley Ratnet.
Finley Ratnet. Finley!